In the shadowed halls of Site-19, the Foundation's largest containment facility, there are whispers of countless horrors. It's where they keep anomalies that defy physics, reality, and sometimes just plain common sense. Among the Keter-class world enders and the quieter safe-class objects, there's one story that serves as a chilling lesson in hubris. This is about SCP-049, the Plague Doctor. Now, this story isn't in the main file. It's a cautionary tale. The kind of thing veteran researchers tell rookies to scare them straight. It's about the day one of the Foundation's brightest minds decided he could reason with the unreasonable. He saw not a monster, but a colleague. This is the story of the day he walked into SCP-049's cell, confident he could build a bridge between two worlds, and the absolute nightmare that followed. It's a redacted file that speaks not just of an anomaly's wrath, but of the terrifying gap between human genius and a logic that is not of this world. First, let's break down the entity at the center of this mess. SCP-049 is a humanoid figure, about 1.9 meters tall, looking for all the world like a medieval plague doctor. It's got the thick black robes and the iconic ceramic beaked mask. But here's the twist. X-rays and analysis have shown that those aren't clothes. They seem to have grown right out of its body, fused to a human-like skeleton underneath. It speaks multiple languages, preferring English and old-timey French, and for the most part, it's polite and cooperative with Foundation staff. The Foundation first stumbled upon 049 in Montauban, France, while looking into a string of disappearances. A raid on a house didn't turn up a kidnapper, but a quiet, horrific scene. SCP-049 was there, along with several other beings, later designated SCP-049-2. These were corpses, reanimated by the doctor's bizarre surgery. While local cops fought the hostile, shambling creatures, 049 was just watching, taking notes in a journal. After its creations were put down, the doctor came along willingly, no fuss at all. Once contained at Site-19, its obsession became crystal clear. SCP-049 calls itself a doctor, on a mission to wipe out something it calls the Pestilence. What is the Pestilence? The Foundation has no idea. No modern medical tool can detect it, but to SCP-049, it's a plague infecting all of humanity, and whenever 049 senses this infection in someone, its calm, cordial manner evaporates. It gets agitated, aggressive, and will try to kill the person by any means necessary. Its cure is terrifyingly simple. A single touch from SCP-049 is lethal, instantly stopping all of a person's biological functions. But death isn't the end. After killing someone, 049 will often insist on doing surgery. It pulls scalpels, needles, and strange fluids from a black medical bag it carries, a bag that seems to hold way more tools than it should. It then dissects and rebuilds the corpse. After a while, the body reanimates as an SCP-049-2 instance. These things have no memories, only basic motor skills, and they'll become hyper-aggressive if provoked or directed by 049. And through all this, SCP-049 calls the poor soul cured. For years, the Foundation treated SCP-049 with extreme caution. Interviews happened behind reinforced glass, and only D-Class were allowed anywhere near it. The going theory was that the Pestilence was just a delusion, 049's excuse for its homicidal urges. But Dr. Aris Morstead didn't see it that way. Morstead was a level 4 researcher, a giant in xenobiology and parapsychology. He was a guy who saw patterns in chaos. He believed the Foundation's motto, secure, contain, protect, shouldn't just mean locking things away. To him, understanding was the real containment. He was obsessed with 049. He read every interview, every lab report. He looked past the clinical data and saw something else, not a monster, but a peer, an ancient alien peer. He even studied the case of Dr. Raymond Ham, a researcher who had built a rapport with 049 before a fatal mistake got him killed and cured. Where others saw betrayal, Morstead saw a tragic misunderstanding. Ham had gotten agitated, and 049 simply reacted to what it saw as a flare-up of the Pestilence. Morstead's theory was wild. He thought the Pestilence was real, not a virus, but something more abstract, a metaphysical flaw, a spiritual corruption, maybe even an idea that infects the mind. He figured that SCP-049, with its alien senses, was the only one who could see it. He believed the violent cures weren't malicious, but crude attempts by a doctor whose methods just weren't compatible with human biology. The surgery was a failure, but the diagnosis? Spot on. He argued his case to the Site-19 Ethics Committee. "We are treating a surgeon like a rabid dog," he famously wrote in one memo. "We give it animal corpses and expect it to advance its science. We're giving a Grand Master a checkerboard and then acting surprised when all he does is flip the table." Morstead proposed the unthinkable, a face-to-face meeting. No barriers, just two doctors in a room discussing the biggest plague in history. He was sure that if he could just talk to 049 as an equal, he could get it to share its secrets. He imagined a future where 049 worked with the Foundation, its abilities used to create a true, non-lethal cure. The O5 Council was split. The plan basically took the SCP rulebook and set it on fire. Letting a senior researcher into a lethal Euclid cell was unheard of, but Morstead was brilliant, and his record was flawless. With massive reluctance, they approved one meeting, under extreme security. The fate of humanity, Morstead thought, might just hang in the balance. On the day of the meeting, Research Sector 02 was dead quiet. The air was thick with tension. Dr. Morstead stood outside SCP-049's containment cell in his simple lab coat, holding just a notebook and a pen. His face was a mask of pure academic confidence. Behind ballistic glass, the site director, Dr. Matthews, watched with a squad of heavily armed MTF agents. The chamber's PA system crackled. "Dr. Morstead, are you sure about this? The O5s have authorized me to abort at the first sign of trouble." Morstead just nodded, his eyes locked on the steel door. "Open the cell, Director." The door groaned open. Inside, SCP-049 stood over the dissected pig it had been given for study. It slowly turned its head, its dark eye sockets fixing on the man who'd just entered its world. "A visitor," SCP-049 said, its voice a calm baritone. It tilted its head. "And not one of the usual doomed souls. You are a doctor, I can sense it." Morstead gave a slight, respectful bow. "I am. Doctor, my name is Aris Morstead. It's an honor." SCP-049 gestured to the table. "An honor? Most of your colleagues see my work with distaste. They see death, not the cure." "That's why I'm here," Morstead said, his voice steady as he took a step forward. "I don't see death. I see a noble struggle. I'm here because I believe you. I believe the pestilence is real, and I want to help you fight it." A long silence hung in the air. From the observation room, the tension was suffocating. "You believe?" SCP-049 finally asked, a note of genuine surprise in its voice. "A man of science who doesn't dismiss my life's work as madness?" "I'm a man of science, and that's exactly why I believe," Morstead replied, opening his notebook. "The universe is filled with things we can't see. Why assume our senses are the final word on reality? You perceive something we can't. I don't call that madness. I call it a breakthrough." SCP-049 seemed to glide closer. "You speak with startling clarity, Dr. Morstead. For centuries, I've been alone in this, surrounded by the afflicted. Your presence, it is a balm." "Then work with me," Morstead pressed, his confidence surging. "Help me understand it. Your methods, they destroy the host. But with my knowledge of biology and your ability to diagnose, we could refine the cure. We could save them all." SCP-049 was right in front of him now. It seemed to consider his words. It looked from Morstead's hopeful eyes down to his outstretched notebook, and then back up. "You wish to see as I see," the plague doctor mused. "You are so certain that you are free of the disease. So very certain." Its head tilted. How tragic. And just like that, everything changed. One moment, a thoughtful academic. The next, a predator. A low growl rumbled from its robes. Before Morstead could even process the change, 049's hand shot out with grim, surgical finality. Its fingers touched the fabric of Morstead's lab coat, right over his heart. Morstead's eyes went wide with shock and shattering disillusionment. He opened his mouth, but no sound came out. The life drained from him, and he collapsed to the floor, his notebook scattering at the plague doctor's feet. In the observation room, all hell broke loose. The alarms blared, a synthetic scream announcing catastrophic failure. Inside the cell, SCP-049 knelt over Morstead's body, pulling a scalpel from its bag. "Do not interfere," it commanded as MTF operatives stormed in. "The cure must be administered." The first bullet staggered it, but did no real damage. It spun with impossible speed, swiping at the nearest soldier, who dropped instantly. A second agent fell, then a third. The squad fell back into the corridor, but it was already too late. Morstead's body began to twitch. Less than 3 minutes after his death, a record speed, his corpse jerked to its feet, jaw slack, eyes vacant. The first SCP-0492 instance, made from a Level 4 researcher charged out of the cell. Seeing their esteemed colleague turned into a mindless monster made the soldiers hesitate. That was all the opening the anomalies needed. The reanimated Morstead crashed into their line while SCP-049 moved through them like a shadow, each touch a death sentence. The containment breach cascaded. SCP-049, with its new, frighteningly smart assistant, seemed to know the site's layout perfectly. It bypassed checkpoints and disabled security systems, moving with a clear purpose: reach the main personnel sectors and cure everyone. For 3 days, Site-19 was a living nightmare. MTF teams fought a war against the Doctor and its growing army of reanimated researchers, guards, and D-Class. Making matters worse, other anomalies started breaching containment in the chaos. SCP-049 proved to be a brilliant tactician, leading squads into ambushes and adapting its strategy with every encounter. Desperate, Site Command hatched a grim plan. They knew from old files that lavender had a calming effect on the entity. They took a D-Class, soaked his jumpsuit in concentrated lavender aerosol, and pushed him into the main atrium where 049 and its horde were trying to break through. As the D-Class stumbled into view, 049 paused, its aggressive posture softening for just a moment. That was the instant they needed. Snipers opened fire with sedative darts as vents flooded the atrium with lavender gas. Overwhelmed, SCP-049 collapsed. MTF teams moved in with flamethrowers to neutralize the 049-2S, and the Doctor was dragged back to a newly reinforced cell. The 3-day massacre was over. The price for Dr. Morstead's hubris was staggering. The final body count is classified, but reports mention hundreds of Foundation personnel lost, including elite MTF operatives. Site-19 was a wreck. The incident led to a permanent severe update to SCP-049's containment. All privileges were revoked, no more direct human interaction. The dream of a partnership was dead. SCP-049 was now treated as what it was, an unpredictable and extremely dangerous threat. Weeks later, in a debriefing, SCP-049 was asked if it felt remorse for killing Dr. Morstead. The entity was silent for a long time. Remorse? No, it finally said, its voice calm again. It is lamentable that a fellow physician was so deeply infected, but I did what was necessary. I administered the cure. My work is not about sentiment, Doctor. It is about salvation. The story of Dr. Aris Morstead is a file buried deep in the Foundation's archives, a stark reminder that some lines shouldn't be crossed in the pursuit of knowledge. It all comes back to that central, terrifying question. What is the pestilence? Is it a real, unseen disease, a metaphysical concept? Or is it simply anything that hasn't been cured by SCP-049? We may never know for sure. All we know is that a man of great intelligence looked into the abyss, believing he could reason with it, and the abyss, in its own cold, horrifying logic, simply cured him. If you enjoyed this deep dive into one of the Foundation's darkest cautionary tales, be sure to like and subscribe for more from the SCP archives. Let us know in the comments, what do you think the pestilence really is? Your theory might just be the one we tackle next. Secure, contain, protect,